So this is back when I sold cars, and unbeknownst to me, I had got hired at a dealership that had a really bad reputation. In fact, it was so bad that they had fired their entire management team. They had renamed themselves, and they'd done a number of things to try and reboot their image. But the lot itself was actually still in the same spot, so it kind of kept a lot of that reputation. It was the same people that owned it. And so a lot of people knew that when it came down to it, it really was the same dealership. And at the time, I was really new to sales, and I was very young, very naive, and I didn't really get it. I didn't know that the dealership had this reputation, and I used to get really, really frustrated because I'd be working with people, and I knew that they loved the car. After you do sales for a little bit, you can kind of read people, and I knew they loved the car. I knew that they wanted the car really bad, and I knew that they liked me. I knew that they trusted me because I had a lot of them that would tell me as much, and my sales manager would tell me as much, but for some reason, they just wouldn't buy, and I couldn't figure it out. I thought they liked the car, they trusted me. What else was there? Now, of course, today, having a lot more experience with sales, it's obvious to me. And it kind of is related to this book I've been reading recently by Jordan Belfort called The Way of the Wolf. And if you don't know who Jordan Belfort is, he's the guy that Leonardo DiCaprio played in the movie The Wolf of Wall Street. That's based on a true story. It's Jordan Belfort's story. And in the book, he lays out what he calls his straight line selling system. I'll put a link in the description for the book as well. If you guys want to check that out, I recommend reading it if you're into sales or marketing at all. But the very first thing that he talks about in the book is what he calls the 3 10s. So the idea behind this is the 10s essentially is a scale from 1 to 10. 1 is the prospect or the potential customer, potential client is they don't trust you at all. They're not certain at all about you or your product or your service. And 10 is they're completely certain. They absolutely love the product or they love you, etc. So that's the 10 part. And then the 3 part is your product, you, or your company. And so the basic idea is in order to close a sale, what you need to do is you need to get the customer as close to 10 as possible on all 3 of those different scales: your product, service, or idea, you, and your company. So you have to make them want and believe in the product or service, make them trust you, and also trust the company. And if you're missing any one of those things, they're just not going to buy. And that ultimately was the answer to my mystery, because the people I saw were a 10 or close to 10 on the car that I was selling. They were 10 or close to 10 on me. But some of them, if they knew the reputation, they might have come in at 1 when it comes to the dealership and the company itself. And so even though the other 2 were close to 10, having that 1 clear down at the bottom of the scale, less than 5 or less, they're not going to buy. And since I didn't know that, I didn't know the reputation of the company, but I also didn't know this concept, I never addressed the company part. And so those, wherever they came in on the scale, they stayed that way, and that's why I wasn't making sales. So there's a couple lessons for you here with freelancing. The first thing is that just to recognize when you're selling your services, you need to make sure and address all 3 of these things: your service, which a lot of people do, but you and your company. So you have to give them reasons and talk about what's great about your service, why they should trust you, and why they should trust your company. Now, one thing that's a little tricky for freelancers is oftentimes your company and you are the same thing. You're the only person in your company. But still, it's worth mentioning things like, hey, I've been in business for X years. That's something related to kind of the company itself that is going to help move them from being ambivalent to at least notching them up a little bit closer to that 10. Or if you have a staff, you might say something like, I have X number of people on staff. Or maybe you have someone on your staff who's really good, a award-winning designer. You might say, I have a designer who's an award-winning whatever the award is for, etc. Anything to move the potential client closer to that 10 before you ask for the sale. Now, the second thing is that, and I think this is maybe the bigger thing, is that selling your services isn't some mysterious thing like a lot of people think. It's simply about moving your prospect wherever they are on that scale to as close to 10 as possible. Again, before you ask for the sale. the closer to 10 they are, closer to 10 on all three that they are, the more likely they are to buy. So that's what selling your services is. Thinking about each one of those things, your service, you, and your company, and what can I say that would be compelling and convincing and persuasive to a potential client about each three of these things to move them closer to that 10. And when you feel like you've got them there, then asking for the sale. So I'll end by giving you an example. So one of my courses, let's just say, is Beginner's Guide to Freelance course. So if I were trying to sell you on that, I might first mention that it's currently got 1,904 students with a 98% positive review rate. And in the course, you're going to learn all of the critical fundamentals like these that you need to be successful as a freelancer. So that's about the course itself. I might say that it's taught by me, and I've been a freelancer for over 15 years. I worked on projects for clients like Inc. Magazine, Lewis House, Tim Ferriss, Michael Hyatt, and others. So I know how to land big fish, and I can teach you how to do that as well. So that's the you part. That's about me. And then I would also mention that the course is hosted on Skillshare, which is one of the largest online education platforms on the planet. As a member, you get access to over 29,000 courses on the platform. And I've had thousands of students who have joined up and really love the platform. So that's about the company. And of course, then I would finish up by saying that you can learn how to get free access to not only my course, but all 29,000 plus other courses by going to johnmorrisonline.com/freelance. All right, that'll do it for this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that and also turn on notifications. And we'll talk to you next time.